For you and Conor Benn?
Unbelievable. I mean, look, obviously, beating Queensbury 2-0 was nice, but that was just on another level. I mean, absolute masterclass schooling. You know, Eubank didn't win a round, very lucky not to get stopped in the last. But listen, respect to him, he's a very brave man. But it was a great performance from Conor Benn. Totally different fight to the first fight, but it needed to be, just that to keep his emotions in check. And I knew he could make it easy like that because he's much better. But giving up the weight gives you a little bit of a disadvantage, but tonight he just showed his quality. Eubank, as I said, coming into his fight, I think it'll be his last fight. That last fight that Conor Benn gave him would have taken a huge amount out of him, and he just got beat by the younger, better, fresher man tonight.
Did you expect that type of performance from Conor Benn? Because you were quite confident all week.
Because, I mean, he was still explosive. I mean, don't forget, he won every round, and in the 12th, he's still trying to stop him. When I'm just going, just circle. I'm like, I can't, just chill, and he's like still going for the finish. But that's what Conor Benn's about, and tonight he had to do something that he's never really done before, which is just stay calm and don't be reckless. Just be precise, work the body, land clean, jab, move your head on the way in, just the basic stuff. And he did it beautifully well, and that was absolutely, as they say in the trade, sweet as a fucking nut.
Is that the end of that chapter with Eubank? Obviously,
yeah,
it's closed.
He's that. I mean, you can't have a rematch when you've just won 13-0.
You know what? It's just one of those things. I knew Conor would win. I actually thought Conor would have stopped him, and it's only when Conor caught him in the 12th round. He was slipping a lot of the punches, and Conor never really caught him flush until the 12th round.
Very unfortunate not to get the stoppage.
Yeah.
I suppose if it had gone on another 20 seconds, then he would have, or 15 seconds.
Yeah, but we'll take the win. Even the score, we don't want a third match. Don't need to. Glad this saga's over with. Glad it's all over with.
Everything. The way Chris boxed there just showed you how hard making the weight was for him last time. The older he is, the way I could get you down to 2 stone. You might not be able to tie your shoelaces, but I can get you down. So even though he got down to it, you saw the effect of it there. It looked like a man walking in slow motion in quicksand. Conor was all over him. Well deserved to the end. Chris had nothing to give. And that, you remember the last fight, Chris had nothing left to give. Conor did. The way Conor boxed, he did. He never left him alone. Ripped his heart out. He did the right thing.
What was the difference? Was Conor Benn better today, or has Chris Eubank Jr deteriorated? What was the difference?
Both. They're both going. It's like a pendulum. Conor knew what he could do. Didn't think, I'm not sure what I can get away with from the last fight. For Chris, the pendulum is, he's rinsed himself down that much, he's thinking he can do it again. As I said, anybody can get down to the weight, it's what you can do with the weight. Boxing's the worst place to be if you aren't going to put yourself at a disadvantage, because it's the only place you can legally get killed. And so what Chris did was, Chris depleted any advantage he had in the first fight. And again, in this fight here, what did he expect? Conor just had to put him under pressure, keep up the pace. He took the pace, made him work constantly. And when you make him work constantly, that's how he starts.
Unfortunately, for me, the fight didn't live up to the expectations. I'm extremely underwhelmed. How they've pulled that off. Very, very, very poor fight. Disappointing. It came alive in the last round. That's it. The last round it happened. And Conor Benn got the win, rightly so. But Eubanks tonight didn't turn up. Old overnight. His legs weren't in it. Came in a pound light at the weigh-in, which probably has something to do with it. But Father Time caught up with him, and they've pulled off a heist tonight. That's what they've done. They've made an absolute fortune out of a nothing fight. It was not a patch on the first one. Obviously, that first fight took everything out of them both. Conor Benn came in a bit more cautious, did the right thing, just picked through with his jab. Nobody expected him to do it. I didn't expect him to do it. And Eubanks had nothing to offer. The shots that came in, the first shot that put Eubank down actually skimmed past Eubank's ear and caught him on, just past the temple. The second shot was the back of the head. They weren't clean shots, but it just shows how fragile he was, that he was going down from shots like that, because the right hand, what hit him in the first knockdown, went past his ear. It did connect, but it wasn't a blow coming into the side. It skimmed past him and it toppled him over. So what does that actually say?
Really happy, and thank God it's over. Listen, like I said in the press conference Thursday, Conor had to make adjustments when he fought Chris in the return. And I felt like he made the adjustments, he stuck to the game plan. His feet was good tonight, his boxing ability was good tonight. You know, and he was fortunate for Chris that bell went in the last round because it was virtually over then. But he won so clearly and he boxed smart, didn't lose his head and swing punches all over the place, and I'm really proud of him.
So it was a completely different fight, obviously, from the first fight. Is that what Conor Benn had to do just to make sure, and it was a comfortable victory in the end, but to fight that way, to make sure, regardless of whether it was as exciting as the first one, just get the job done?
Yeah, of course, and you know, we had the game plan, and he stuck to the game plan, and he won convincingly, and that's all it's about, is getting a win at the end of the day. I mean, the icing was nearly on, you know, on the cake in the last round, but listen, I'm proud of him. He boxed smart with a cool head, and he won the fight convincingly.
It didn't surprise you how comfortable it was in the end for Conor?
No, it didn't surprise me at all. I thought Conor actually had him betting between round 1 to 3 and 3 to 6. I thought Conor, if Conor caught him early, because he never caught him until late, and when he hurt him, you can see that he hurt him. And Conor was still fresh at 12 rounds.
But this is where the whole Eubank and Benn saga ends tonight.
Yeah, it ends tonight. You know, I'll be honest with you, he tried to shake my hand, but I pushed him away. I said no.
Who did?
I did. I pushed him away.
Junior?
No, senior.
Senior.
Yeah. You know, he always plays this game and all that. You know, attention seeker, and I just got sick and tired of it because I went to embrace him at the weigh-in, and he done that to me. And I thought, mate. You know, I felt like throttling him. I thought to myself, mate, I'm not even going to bother talk to you no more, mate. Yeah, it was so disrespectful, and I was like, you know what? Give me a cuddle, and that's it. But you know, carry on. I won't talk to him again, mate. He's a waste of space. I'm sorry to say, mate. It's just hard work. He's always like this attention seeking and everything about him, just like, you know, rubs people up the wrong way.
What do you do with Conor now? Who do you look at? Like Lewis Crocker?
Yeah, look, all the champions at 47. Lewis Crocker, of course, he really wants that WBC title. Marios Barrios, you've got Rolly Romero, you've got the winner of Haney against Norman. Conor Benn's just filled an arena, 70,000 twice. He's a massive star of British boxing, so nice rest over Christmas. You know, and I said in the ring as well, I think it's important to say, I noticed tonight that Movember is one of the sponsors for the show. Movember is all about kind of raising mental health awareness for men, and particularly suicide rates. If you had any idea the shit that Conor Benn was in his life, fighting this case, right, to the point where he was having to sell everything he had. He was in hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of debt because he wouldn't give up trying to win this case and prove himself. And when I say mentally shot, he was a completely broken man. And maybe he might tell you one day how low he really was, but trust me when I say he was banging trouble. There was no way out, and that is a great lesson to people out there. When you think there's no way out, stay with it, keep the faith. And that's what Conor Benn did. He worked as hard as he could every day, and look at him now. Like I say, just what? A year and a half ago, finished, rock bottom, no way out. He's just fought Chris Eubank twice, secured his and his kids' legacies and financial legacy forever, and he's just become one of the biggest stars in British boxing. And good on him, because I tell you what, he's a good bloke with a good heart.
Why was he not able to let his hands go? The last fight was only 6 months ago.
Yeah, but he's, like I said, time's caught up. Was he 32, is he? And Ben's 28. Yeah, he's a bit like time catches up. That's what happens. He just couldn't fire, could he? Couldn't fire. And like I said, the first fight, he had to dig deep. It meant something the first fight. They didn't know they were going to have a rematch. And Eubanks had to win. Maybe he's got into this fight. I think, well, if he beats me, it's 1-1, whatever. But he just didn't have that fire in his belly tonight. You know, maybe he's just lost the taste for it. But for me, you know, I don't come to many live events. It was a very underwhelming fight till the last round, and even then the finish wasn't fantastic. I'm pleased for Tony Sims that he's got the win. They've had to think about what they've done. They've played it smart. They didn't go rushing in and allow Conor Benn to be there to get it by Eubank. But to be honest, Eubank wasn't accurate tonight at all. Very, very inaccurate in what he threw.
Conor's next step will be dropping down to 147 and trying to claim the world title. And obviously he wants to emulate Nigel of being a world champion. So, you know, his next fight will be down at his natural weight.
But just last one, under massive pressure, Conor, obviously off the back of that loss, to come here and deliver, which he did.
Yeah, exactly, and he worked hard. He worked really hard in the gym, and he badly wanted to win this fight. And of course, he was under pressure to it. He wanted to have a win over the Eubanks for his dad as well. So, but listen, it's onwards and upwards now, and get back down to 147 and go and win that world title.
The confrontation that began this chapter was the stuff of history repeating itself. Two men whose names bore the burden of a 1990s feud got into position and glared at each other like the heirs of an ancient score to settle.
He wants to win. He got that killer instinct. And once you got to get a fighter like that, it's easy to work with him.
Behind the scenes, a quiet but very real friction had been brewing between Chris Eubank Sr., Chris Eubank Jr., and Eddie Hearn. What started as differences in handling past negotiations slowly turned into a colder, more personal divide. Eubank Sr. had long felt that some decisions made around his son's career did not match the respect or direction he believed the Eubank name deserved, and he made that frustration known.
Where did it all go wrong with you and Chris Eubank Jr.? I know there was...
I have absolutely no idea. Him and his dad, I listen to what his dad says, and it actually baffles.
Which thing specifically?
With it. I mean, this man is trying to hurt my son. I mean, it's absolutely so bizarre. I mean, I heard him say today that, I was in the ambulance with Junior, and let me tell you, it was touch and go. But please, you can't talk shit like that, I mean, the safety of a fighter is paramount. But let's not make up complete lies. And I will call him out on it, and whether people like it or not.
Also, at a highly publicized press conference before the Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn rematch, Eddie Hearn put on a theatrically quiet show. Rather than using the mic, he stayed silent and communicated exclusively through a series of cue cards, much like a scene from Love Actually.
Wow, he's finally learned. He's finally learned, guys, that he cannot speak during the press conference. What a beautiful thing it is that I don't have to interrupt this guy. This is great music, by the way. I don't know. Okay. Oh, this is great. Thank you, Eddie, for finally understanding your position here. I guess I'm just going to jump straight in with what everybody really wants to know.
As Silent Night played softly in the background, Hearn held up messages such as, "I know it upsets Chris when I speak," and later praised Ben, calling him perfect for this moment. When tensions flared over earlier accusations, he responded with more boards reading "fake news" and "plum." The stunt drew laughter and applause, and even left Eubank Jr. visibly thrown off and briefly speechless.
And that is... I'll wait for the music to stop. Oh wait, he's actually doing the clipboard. Wow, that's impressive.
Love Actually style from Eddie Hearn tonight.
Oh, as long as he's not speaking, that's fine.
Having been extensively promoted and with a global following anticipated, all the exchanges during the build-up, the press conference barbs, the social media barbs, all went into a feeling that the actual ring session would be less of a one-on-one fight and more of the denouement of a long, bloody tale. Eddie Hearn afterwards discussed what coverage his cue card stunt had received and talked in disbelief and humor. He said that his silence was a move of complete confidence and was insinuating that it was partially in response to the level of reaction that Chris Eubank Jr. had to anything he said. Hearn then moved to an example of a fan named Ivan. Hence, it is evident that he had been accused of blocking someone he had never heard of.
I've never seen a man dislike me so much, so apparently I've blocked a bloke called Ivan that I've never fucking heard of in my life from coming to the show on Saturday. He believes that stuff. I mean, I don't know who Ivan is. Never met Ivan. Never had a conversation about Ivan. So, what can I say?
Eddie Hearn subsequently looked back at the War of Words confrontation, stating how the situation had the same intensity as the original Ben Eubank. He said that as he stood there watching the interchange take place, he was able to observe Nigel Benn being drawn by emotion into the scene, almost as though the ancient feud had been rekindled.
Unbelievable. I mean, Nigel Benn looked that close to having a swing at Chris Eubank. And it's like, I'm looking at that as a promoter. I'm looking at Nigel, I'm looking at Chris, I'm looking at Conor, I'm looking at Junior, and I'm just going, fuck me. Bring me Saturday.
On the spot, Chris Eubank Sr. had given a threatening speech to Conor Benn and adopted language that was indicative of his moral authority and family heritage. His manner was to indicate that he considered this feud as an event much larger than a mere boxing match, with the burden of the previous encounters, pride in the game, and conviction. According to his message, he was even obliged to take a step not only in the name of his son, but of the Eubank name itself.
I kept the faith. Now, there is in store for me the crown of righteousness. And the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day.
The build-up to fight night has never been bigger in terms of tension between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. as the two head into their fight against each other, from press shoving matches to tactical changes in the training camps. Both warriors have demonstrated that they are willing to give it all in the ring. Benn will be entering the rematch with experience, speed, and a more intelligent application of his aggression. Eubank Jr., however, contributes some technical precision, reach advantage, and provides some discipline of Bamak in his court, which could make instinct a strategy. The scene is now ready to receive a conflict which is not only a fight, but it is also a battle of ability, soul, and heritage, with each man being aware that a single lapse would be the difference. And when you are as impatient as we are, you can afford to miss not a moment of the fun. Get notified NT and place your bets in the comments section. Subscribe and see who you think comes out the winner in this game.